Hey, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Velvet Hall, alongside none other than N.E.F. Neff. And today we have the honor and the privilege of being joined by one of the most illustrious high flyers in Middle Georgia wrestling history, the one, the only, the extreme innovator himself, Mr. Ricky Silver.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Applause for me.
Ricky, how are you today, my friend?
Good. I'm good. I enjoyed last week, so I definitely have to be on here with you guys.
Awesome. Well, it goes without being said, ladies and gentlemen, that last night was the first pay per view of the Triple H helm ever since he was given executive vice president duties, or more or less, once they were restored to him. Now that he's head of creative, and it definitely showed last night in last night's pay per view, SummerSlam 2022. A lot of great things happening. Um, just to kind of give you guys a rundown of some of the matches and results that happened, and some quick takeaways. Bianca Belair successfully defended the SmackDown Women's Championship against Becky Lynch. Logan Paul defeated The Miz. Pat McAfee won his match against Baron Corbin. Liv Morgan retained the Raw Women's Championship against Ronda Rousey, albeit controversial.
Mm.
Um, the Usos retained the Unified Tag Team Championships against the Street Profits. Bobby Lashley successfully defended the United States Championship against, I'm sorry, Conspiracy Theory.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm.
um, with a little help from Edge, the Mysterios defeated the Judgment Day. And in the main event, Roman Reigns successfully defended the Unified Universal Championship against Brock Lesnar in a last man stand match. Now, just some quick takeaways from this show. Um, this is supposed to be something that we talked about with change being stuff that's going to happen to be really big. No title changes happened last night. That was crazy. Not one title change happened. Another quick takeaway is that we probably had three less championship matches this year than we probably would have had last year, because throughout the course of the year, both male singles championships have been unified. Both tag team championships have been unified. And there was absolutely no intercontinental title match last night. Crazy, but true.
Didn't even
And
think about that.
yeah, I thought about that as well. So those are two quick takeaways that I got. Neff, immediate reaction to SummerSlam as a whole from last night.
100%. We talked about it last week too. Just the immediate impact that Triple H was going to have on the business, and it showed. And like you said, there was no Intercontinental Championship. There was no word, no mention, or no backstage, no drama on the 24/7, which I'm sure he's going to get rid of soon. Um, Very interesting. It was great, like from top to bottom. I mean, I was thoroughly entertained. Usually I fall asleep on pay-per-views and watch the highlights the next days, and I stayed up the entire night. I was highly entertained.
Wow, nothing wrong with that. We are joined by one Middle Georgia legend. We have another one just sending us something. My buddy Spaz hitting us up. Spaz saying, "Hello, folks. What's up, Spaz?" And now that
Yep.
we have Spaz on the line, we also have Mr. Ricky Silver in the building. Ricky,
Yes,
your
sir.
overall perception of last night's SummerSlam card.
Well, take it from someone who hasn't watched a WWE pay per view in a very long time. I was actually entertained with it. There were a lot of high points. There were some points that I didn't really pay much attention to. A lot of it in the middle wasn't, interesting to me. But the beginning of the show was enough to reel somebody in, and it did for the most part. The women really kicked it off SummerSlam great.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. My brother James Thornton. James, what's happening, my friend? James is my L3 brother from Life, Love, and Lockup. Amazon best-selling series, 4 volumes down. We still got work to do. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, please be sure to go to Amazon and look up Life, Love, and Lockup. All 4 volumes all life changing events, all quality reading that you all should definitely listen to and look at. We'll have audiobooks and all that other good stuff. All right. Shout out to Mitchell, uh, my buddy, another one of our good friends who's always contributing to the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast. So as we talk a little more about SummerSlam, what for both of you guys, and either one of you can take this, for everything that was good about SummerSlam, is there anything about this show that you would have changed?
Hmm. I probably would have changed the tag team title match because it's the same thing we've seen for months now. That seemed more like a Vince thing, but something they would have done regardless, just because it was already booked. But hopefully, they just move into another direction. That's really the only thing I would say.
Just to
Neff?
piggyback off of that one, I would have said the tag team too. But the only thing I would have changed about it is Montez. He needs to that they need to break that on up. I was looking for them to break that up last night. Only because he's so ready to go, man. Like just his intensity, what he brought to the match, like it was like, come on, let's go ahead and end this right now. I'm pretty sure that's in the works, but Montez is ready to go, and
I'm
I
expecting that
definitely
this
changed
week. This week, I expect that to happen.
I need it to happen. Like when I tell you that he gave me so much electricity off screen that it was like, wow, like he's ready to go. If he can keep that passion, that intensity, go ahead, split them up because his partner was on his ass that whole night. So I don't even. He
Yeah.
contributed nothing.
And strangely enough, I gotta agree with you guys on that as well. As far as how they went about, you know what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen, and I think everybody thought it would happen last night. The fact that it didn't happen was surprising.
Right.
So I only have to wonder with Triple H's creative mind how he's going to actually execute that turn because we all know what's going to happen. Will it happen tomorrow night? Will we wait till the next pay per view? Will it happen at a time when nobody expects it? And also as well, a lot of us, when we talked about this last week, who we thought would be the heel and who would turn face. And it looks like Montez is the one who's actually looking like he's going to be the one to turn heel.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that now that the Street Profits whole feud is out of the way, there can be more of a focus on tag teams because you got the Viking Raiders who have just pretty much almost put the New Day out to pasture for about the next 3 or 4 pay-per-views after their match this past Friday night. Um, yeah, I definitely would have done something different with that. But speaking of something that was different, they say the more things change, the more they say they stay the same. We saw quite a few big returns last night. We saw 3 women return at the same time. We saw Edge return in some kind of Gangrel Brood hybrid entrance thing that he had going on. Out
So
of out of those returns, which one do you think will eventually be the most impactful on WWE in the next 3 months? Neff, you go first.
I gotta say Edge. Even though the Bailey return, I love the bridge that they carry with Bailey as far as just bringing the next evolution of the women's division in. Like I love the fact that they continue to keep using her in that way. Um, but I have to say Edge, like that was crazy, and Riddle's not a return because he was just here, but I appreciated the fact that they still tried to bring him in and just had that whole little segment with Seth Rollins. I saw the post that you made earlier with Seth Rollins running behind, Rocky Balboa and all that stuff. That's hilarious because that's how it literally felt. So,
Yeah,
but Edge
definitely.
for me is going to make the most impact. Uh, it was nice.
All right, Ricky, your
For
thoughts?
me, I would probably go Bailey because with Edge, like you kind of know what to expect out of that. He's going to come back. He's going to get his comeuppance on the Judgment Day. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a whole lot more than what we saw last night, but that brings in to who's going to be helping Edge. I don't see it being the Mysterios. I think they're going to go off and do their own thing. So we don't really know what's going to happen with Edge besides him and Judgment Day going at it. But with Bailey, her return was over a year, something she's been ready to do for a long time. And with her return, I got real big Riot Squad vibes off of it, or like when Paige returned with Mandy Rose and Sonya. It seemed like it was kind of that situation. But with Bailey coming out there and Dakota Kai and former Io Shirai, Io Sky is now going to be her name. That they're going to be pretty much just lackeys for Bailey. So it's just a matter of how big they're going to push Bailey. She's going to be a whole lot bigger than Dakota or Io, at least for the time being. But long term, I could see Io actually getting bigger than all of them, but just not within 3 months.
Absolutely. And I kind of gotta agree with I agree with you, Ricky, as far as which return was the biggest. With Edge, it just seems like he's back, and it just seems like another reinvention after the last reinvention after the last reinvention. And so a lot of times his more recent changes really don't have a whole lot of longevity to them. And so it almost just seems like sooner or later, if the trend continues, they're just going to hit the reset button on him again, and he's going to be somebody different, yet the same one more time. So um, I'm not sure what to make of his return or whether it will have any wheels behind it. But I definitely want to see what happens with the whole Bailey thing, and I want to know how Dakota Kai is going to be used because she was a real firecracker in NXT. She really was. So I really want to see how she's going to be used. Um, hey guys, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll delve a little deeper into the SummerSlam show, and I will give Neff all the free space he needs to speak on his favorite wrestler at the moment, the one, the only, the conspiracy theory. Stick and stay, don't go away. It's the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast.
I mean, this is not the MySpace age, Dad. We need to use social media to our advantage.
She's still missing.
Well, then you should know I'm gonna stop at absolutely nothing until I find mine.
Oh, should I wait with you? It gets pretty dangerous out here this time of night.
Why can't her mother watch her? Hell, why can't she watch herself? She's a teenager.
Good choice of words.
Excuse me? You're right. Who wants a case of the bitch?
Excuse me?
Hey, baby.
I found his address.
So you all been thinking about this for a while, huh?
You gonna act like you don't hear me? Oh, I got something for that. Freeze!
You are my life.
Yeah, well, you have a funny way of showing it.
Hey, Captain!
Charles Reedon, computer specialist. Think you guys have him labeled as the Grant Park killer.
The war is just beginning. And the bad part about it, they won't even see it coming. What's your fixation?
I have to show that all the time because Neff always marks out when Tina Bridges punches that woman in the face. Oh, sorry, when Tina Bridges gets punched in the face. That's just crazy. That was just like it's just hey hi, just wow. That's almost like a Shawn Michaels when he grabs his face and comes up here and you know what? Never mind. We're not even gonna go there. Let's delve a little further. We're gonna come back to SummerSlam, but I want to talk about something that we just talked about just before we jumped on the air. We were talking about championships, okay? And here's a champion added to the latest gallery of AEW championships is the long awaited or unawaited, depending on which side of the fence you choose to be on, AEW Trios Championships, which will be determined pretty soon. Neff, immediate reaction to the AEW Trios Championship announcement.
I had a spit take. I was literally drinking my favorite Jack and Daniels, and when it showed up on the screen and they showed the image of 3 titles, I literally spit my Jack Daniels out. It harks back 2 weeks ago when we talked about the long laundry list of wrestlers that AEW has, and literally after saying all that, we turn around and now we have a trios championship. Like, we're gonna crown 3 superstars. That means that we have too many tag teams in AEW. the fact that they had to create 3 titles. So it's it was just hilarious, man. I just don't understand it. But I mean, what are we up to? About 12 titles in AEW now?
Actually, we have 8 active AEW branded championships, and that doesn't count the Ring of Honor titles, which does include a I'm sorry, 6-man tag team championship.
6. Ridiculous. Match cards are ridiculous. That's all I got on that. That's just crazy.
I don't
Yeah,
know how
man.
on board of that. I mean, it's true. There's just too many titles. I mean, we got this All Atlantic title that we haven't even seen yet. So.
which strangely resembles the AEW Women's Championship, but that's another
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
I mean, but let's not get it twisted though. AEW on creative wise, as far as the titles and the designs and the looks of them, they're phenomenal. They're the best looking titles I've seen. And I have very selective few of WWE titles that I actually say those are my favorite. Yeah, design wise, great. But the fact that y'all got to make a trio title is roster overload.
They're only doing it for Kenny and the Bucks. That's literally the only reason they're doing it.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. Now, here's the crazy thing. Now, we talked earlier about we talked about championships. We talked about the Intercontinental title not being defended. Here's the crazy thing. There seems to be, especially in indie wrestling or wrestling that's not on a massively global level or national level, a lot of organizations are either creating new championships or reintroducing titles. The National Wrestling Alliance will be holding their 74th anniversary show sometime soon. They will be reintroducing the NWA United States Tag Team Championships to be determined at that show. Major League Wrestling has recently also introduced a women's either welterweight or middleweight championship. Now we talk about the AEW introducing the Trios Championship. Meanwhile, WWE has gone in a different direction with the consolidation of their heavyweight and their tag team championships. Um, with that being said, we also talked about the Intercontinental title not being defended at SummerSlam. I watched the very first SummerSlam with my dad, and the highlight of that show was the Ultimate Warrior beating the Honky Tonk Man and ending the longest WWE Intercontinental Championship reign ever in a little over or under 30 seconds. So, with that being said, we also talked about the United States Championship being defended by Bobby Lashley successfully, also being held by the man who was most recently WWE's Money in the Bank winner. He still holds the briefcase. I say all that to say this. Did you ever think you'd see a day in WWE where the United States Championship would be more prestigious than the Intercontinental title? Ricky, your answer first.
No. Just no, because the United States title was the WCW title. Intercontinental was the WWF title. So just no.
Right.
So never a time.
Absolutely. N.E.F?
No, I agree. I'm on the same page with that. It might have been a strategic kind of thing where it's like SummerSlam, let's just do the United States title and then Clash at the Castle, go Intercontinental. And that could be a strategic move on their end. I just think that with the match card they had, it was just more. I didn't see a build up or anything that would have made an Intercontinental title match fit that match card. Yeah. So I think more of let's build it towards Clash at the Castle, and just go, Bobby Lashley for the United States. So I think it was just more of that move.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our good friend Rockin' Reese checks in and he speaks about the Intercontinental Championship, and he says on the 30th anniversary of Hitman versus the Bulldog, the IC title should have been defended last night. If you do remember, ladies and gentlemen, the last time WWE held a major pay-per-view, this was it. SummerSlam 1992 in Wembley Stadium, when the legendary Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, upended his brother-in-law, Bret the Hitman Hart, for the Intercontinental Championship. Guys, do you think that this is a legitimate point, or do you think that WWE was so in tune with moving in a new direction last night they just really didn't care?
No, it's a legit point. I just think that was just something they like. Again, I just think it was a strategic move. Because I didn't see a build up for the Intercontinental title. Like I don't even know. I mean, who you could have put Seth Rollins in that place, but they already had something lined up for that. You could have put like who, like you know what I'm saying? It's been kind of like an open challenge kind of thing lately, so it didn't hold much weight this time around. So I think it was an opportunity missed for them for that point alone. But hey, I did without it. Like Ricky, you didn't even notice that the title wasn't even defended last night. Like we could do without it. The match card was great. I'll take it.
And that's no slack on Gunter or Walter, whatever you want to call him. I mean, that's
Right.
just the position that they put him in, where, he's defending it, but like you said, it's more of an open challenge thing. He doesn't really have any kind of story going into it. So if they're going to do something as far as an anniversary, they would have to have some kind of build up for it, not just oh, you're going to defend it just to defend it. Because right now he has no build up for anything except who's going to be the one to beat him. But it's still too early for anybody to beat him. So I just don't know.
Yeah, I and that's kind of what I was thinking as well. I think Walter is a ship that's still sailing. They're just trying to really figure out how he is as Intercontinental Champion. I still call him Walter. They call him Gunter now or whatever. He looks completely different than he did when he was
Yeah.
over in the NXT
Yeah.
UK, just destroying guys. But this is a brand new guy, and they're just really trying to see what they can get out of him. So yeah, maybe keeping him away from the Intercontinental Championship or keeping the Intercontinental Championship away from SummerSlam, it being defended last night was actually probably a good idea. Now, N.E.F. N.E.F., my friend. It is time, N.E.F. It is time for you to do that thing for me that you do so well. And that is... Give me that.
Hell yeah.
Give me that. Ladies and gentlemen, N.E.F. has the floor. N.E.F., it's all yours, buddy.
I want to make sure my voice is coming in clear because I watched the recap last week and I was highly disappointed. But I want to make sure I'm coming in loud and clear this time.
We have absolutely no difficulties with your voice this week. It's a much different week.
Yeah, it's a much different because I called them and cussed them out about my Wi-Fi. I just want y'all to know that. But all right, here we are. First, I want to go on record and I want to say, if you go back about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I brought up a very interesting point that got me on this huge rant about my new favorite wrestler, and that is conspiracy theory. I asked the question about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I said, who is this guy's parents? Because he comes out of nowhere. Nobody knew anything about Austin Theory. Nobody even asked the question, who are your parents? But last week I asked a very interesting question. I said, who is your daddy? Come to find out, Monday on the next night, this was the next night, right? Correct. It was the next night, and I wish I had the audio because it came through so clear. The very first question Roman Reigns asked that guy is, who's your daddy? In the crowd followed along. Who's your daddy? It was a great night. I cheered. I had my Jack Daniels. I waved it in the air, and I just had a great old time. Good laugh on because I asked that question first. Oh, yeah, you can go back in the archive. I don't remember anybody asking that question. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but I feel like I was the first, and I'm going to hold tight on that because that was over a month ago. So, last night, conspiracy theory had to step into the big boy league now because your daddy is no longer here. And it was very obvious and very clear, when he came out against Bobby, and it was just like, oh, I'm going to take my suitcase. I'm going to walk out the ring. And Bobby said, nope, get your little ass back in this ring. You go get tossed around and beaten with this suitcase, just like every week you have for the past 3 weeks. So that's exactly what happened. You got your ass beat by Bobby Lashley. Then you try to cash in the title, and you looked oh so small once again, stepping down to the ring with your suitcase, and then get smacked up real quick by Roman, and then gets beaten with the suitcase all over again. It was so great. It was so great, conspiracy theory. It was so great. Because now, again, you are in the big boy league, and Triple H ain't having it. I don't care who your daddy is. But we still got to ask that question because it's still not answered.
But it's not as much a conspiracy anymore.
But is it though? Because there was a look on certain people's faces. Paul Heyman, the Usos. Paul Heyman had a very "oh, you let the cat out the bag" kind of face. It was one of those.
He had to turn around.
Said that. He turned around. He had his hand over his mouth, like, "Oh my gosh!" You had to ask that man, "Who's your daddy?"
Oh my goodness.
It's been great, and it's going to get even better because here I say that this is probably one of the best storylines I've seen in quite some time because we still have to ask that question, and we're going to ask it every day until IMDb, Google, Wiki, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I don't care who asked the question. Somebody has to answer the question. Who's that kid's daddy? And until we get that answer, conspiracy theory, you will be on my conspiracy theory list as my favorite wrestler. But I do want to welcome you to the Big Boy League because there is no room for the little guys anymore in this league. Triple H is changing the game. The tone has changed. The intensity has picked up. And oh my, I don't think he fit anymore. See, your daddy had your back. I'm sorry. Your daddy had your back. I'm going to say it. Your daddy was supporting you. He made you look big when you are too small. And Triple H is going to expose you every week because bumps is what you can sell. And we just going to get a bump from conspiracy theory every week from now on. That's my take on conspiracy theory this week. Join me next week and the week after that, the week after that, until I get a birth certificate with your parents' name on it. Conspiracy theory. Who's your daddy? Keep the chants going and make sure you throw N.E.F on there for never ever forget that I was the first one to say it. Conspiracy theory.
I got nothing to add.
You know what? Just for the hell of it.
Give me that. Hell yeah. Give me that. Hell yeah.
Oh man, you went to town on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about last night's SummerSlam show. All right? Stick and stay. Don't go away. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast. Log on to StallionSquad.com today and use discount code VELVET10 to get yourself some great savings on premium fitness gear, no matter what your fitness level may be. Stallion Squad. Squad up.
This is the Boozerweight, Matt Sexcells, and you're watching the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Max Sexcells.
Yes, call it out every week.
Yeah, man. Good guy, real good guy. Love me some Matt Sexcells, man. No doubt. The Boozerweight. The Boozerweight. Yes, that is him. So, jumping back into SummerSlam. Oh man, the main event, ladies and gentlemen, was something to behold. It was something like nothing we'd ever seen before. We've seen Brock drive a forklift to the ring before and a four-wheeler. We never saw him drive a freaking front end loader to the ring, and he drove the heck out of that thing. The match was crazy. The match itself. The closing minutes of the match, the counts, that was almost like, how in the world are these guys going to put one another away? Because you never knew how it was going to end. But ultimately, Roman Reigns came out on top with help from Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, Paul Heyman, and a bunch of random objects that they put on top of Brock Lesnar to reportedly end the threat of Brock Lesnar being a contender for either of the WWE championships. Ricky, immediate reaction to the main event last night.
It was insane. All right. So we've come to expect these little 2-3 minute matches from Brock. And last night he puts out a 15-20 minute banger. And of course it was gimmicks, but that's a lot of what Roman has been known for also is gimmick matches. But at the same time, if you look back at SummerSlam last night, what's the one thing, if there's only one thing you remember, what's it going to be? Is it going to be Bayley returning, or is it going to be the ring jacked up 15 feet in the air? Because for me, it's going to be that ring jacked up 15 feet in the air. That was such an insane moment. I had to grab my phone and take a picture of it and post, what the fuck is going on here? It was crazy. It really was.
Ridiculous. Neff, your reaction to the main event?
Triple H had a moment in the back. I felt the whole Usher meme that's been going around forever now. How can we make this more explosive? Can you make it more explosive? A meeting between Brock and Roman. I don't think you can top anything they've done. It's been back and forth and all that. And I could just see Triple H in the back going, watch this. The whole time. It was great. It was phenomenal. It's what you needed for that conclusion between the rivalry between them two. I think that is still some more left in the tank for that. But I think Brock is at that point where it's like, well, I know at least Roman is at that point where it's like, hey, I'm coming here. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave, or this is not going to happen again. He's already admitted that, hey, these matches with this dude is brutal. Like, it's a wear and tear on your body. He doesn't want to do it again. I think for the fact that the ramp was, what, a football field long, like 100 yards. So to go to the back or to do anything outside of where they were, I think they utilized every spot, and you want it to just look like an explosion on stage. So to see the ring jacked up, that was crazy. To see Brock sitting there, the images after the show went off last night is phenomenal. I think, of course, I hated that the Usos had to get involved. Paul Heyman took an F5 on the table. I mean, come on. Hey, that's Paul Heyman. That's a Paul Heyman guy right there to take an F5 on the table. Paul said, I would lay out for this.
F3. Okay, it wasn't a full F5. It was only like an F3, maybe an F4.
Yeah, maybe an F4. It was category F4. You know what I'm saying? We'll take that. But to see that, I thought it was great. And they definitely ran longer than anticipated. So phenomenal match, man. Explosive. It was great.
Awesome. Our buddy Rockin' Reese checks in with his opinion on the night's main event. Reese says, I was surprised that when Roman and the Usos were putting things on Brock to keep him down, I'm surprised they didn't use Heyman and Conspiracy since they were laid out by F5s as well. Pretty interesting take by my buddy Rockin' Reese. As it would not have surprised me. Wow, that's just.
That would have been funny if they would have used Conspiracy Theory and just threw him on top of the table with it.
That would have been hilarious. And we
at least laid the suitcase on top of it. Just
something, yeah.
Or just stand him up in front of the rubble.
When they threw the steel stairs on top of it, I got worried. I did get a little worried with that.
Yeah, I saw Brock's leg buckle a little bit. And when they lift the table on him too, it kind of, I was like, all right, yeah.
Chill out. You still got to breathe under there.
Yeah, I saw his leg do something, and I saw his hand kind of do this whole thing. I was like, uh-oh, this might be kind of crazy. That's hilarious. I didn't want to leave this comment out. Jumping back to Neff's rant about conspiracy theory, Reese also had this to say. Reese says, Neff, last night, Theory rebooted an 80s show, My Two Dads, starring Roman and Brock.
I've never seen somebody get beat with that suitcase as much as Conspiracy has. That's he's been getting worn out with that suitcase.
Smacked with it too.
Yeah, he got mollywopped.
Like, not pulled at all, just.
They just take it and just whip them with it. Like, it's straight belt. It's a straight belt. Like, that's your championship. Is that
I know. Every one of those hits is just like your daddy ain't here. Wham. Your daddy ain't here. Wham. Your daddy ain't here. Wham. It's just ridiculous. But they definitely putting the whammies to him. That's so crazy. Now, speaking of championships, and we've talked enough about championships. Pretty interesting thing happened this week on NXT. Last week we know that one half of the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions actually threw the championship in the trash. This week on NXT, Alundra Blaze came out of nowhere, and Alundra Blaze is currently holding some office position with the NWA, mind you, but she made her way to WWE TV this Thursday. Grabbed the trash can that had the belt, and the half of the tag team champions who still had her title grabbed the other half of the tag team championships out of the trash and handed both of them over to Alundra Blaze. And as a result of this coming week on NXT, a brand new set of NXT Women's Tag Team Champions will be determined in a fatal four-way tag team match. Now, after the championships were thrown in the trash, we pretty much buried the NXT women's, or more or less the WWE women's tag team divisions. Do you think that crowning new women's tag team champions in NXT will have a lasting effect or an even further effect on the WWE main roster women's tag team division if there still is one? Ricky.
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't watch NXT 2.0, so I'm going to go completely off of what you said. No. I think at most they might introduce women's tag titles that are going to be defended everywhere, but they probably won't have one just for NXT 2.0. We haven't heard anything about the WWE women's tag titles since that whole thing went on. So no, I don't think it's going to have anything to do, and I honestly think they shouldn't bring him back.
Absolutely. Neff, your opinion.
There's there's rumors, there's things going around right now that are kind of interesting. I think it's a resurgence of it. I know that Triple H and Stephanie have talked to Sasha Banks and Naomi. That may get fixed. We'll have to see what that does. I think with the whole Bailey situation and coming in with that, like I've always said, that it's just it's not enough tag teams for the women's division. But now you got Bianca Belair and possibly Becky Lynch that could possibly team up. We're seeing some kind of connection there. I think that they've rivaled long enough, and I think that the Becky Lynch kind of heel thing is really, I mean, it's paying off. I mean, she cuts great promos and everything, but I think teaming her up may be something. So we'll see what comes out of it. But I'm seeing a shift that they're starting to put their focus back on the women's division, and Stephanie was the anchor of that, and now you got Triple H that can really just inspire the women's division to actually just live up to their full potential. So we'll see what comes out of it. But yeah, I mean, it'll be good to see, because I mean, you can't just bring a women's tag team titles in and then all of a sudden it's gone and we're not talking about it anymore. So it's their pride and joy, the women's division. So I think we'll see it again.
Nice, very nice. I'm kind of I'm kind of on the fence about there being WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. I like the fact that they have them in NXT, and I think that's the only place they should have them. To be honest with you, I do not think they should have a main roster Women's Tag Team Championship. Not because I don't think it wouldn't work, but honestly, I think it's because they screwed it up the minute they had it. When they first got the championships, it was Bailey and Sasha Banks winning the titles. Then you went to, I think, the Kabuki Warriors and the Iconics, who wore the tag team championships. And the reason it succeeded then is because those teams mirrored teams. They did not look like makeshift teams. They did not look like Alexa Bliss and Nikki ASH, who you put together, and they just looked like two odd peas in a pod that didn't fit either one of them. So I think the tag team championships should stay in NXT because it's a developing storyline. I don't think it should ever get to a point where it should be big enough to be taken to the main roster on any level. I think where it is where it should be, and I think that's where it should stay.
I
So,
can agree with that.
Are there enough
uh,
teams there, though? That's the thing about it. That was the problem they had with WWE is they didn't have enough teams, so they were just throwing people together, hoping something would stick.
and that's I can agree with that. But with NXT, the way I see it is like NXT has always fancied itself as a developmental
Mm.
Right.
organization. So I think entry into NXT for any new or potential team is much easier than it is on the main roster.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
being that they're going to get two people from indie wrestling because now they're after the disastrous SummerSlam 2020 tryouts, WWE is thinking about bringing in people from indie wrestling again to try out. I think now when they recondition these people and they change them up, they can take two people from two completely different places, package them as a tag team that you've never seen as a tag team anywhere before, and that's how you continue to build your tag team division in NXT.
Mhm.
I don't think that it works that well in WWE on the main roster because
Yeah.
you have so many women who have established gimmicks and established characters that don't really fit with anybody else's. They're so unique that putting it with somebody is just kind of like, okay, let's just throw this shit against the wall, see if it works. And more often than not, it won't. You got a better chance of that happening in NXT.
And I
I
trust
agree.
HBK with that. If he's going to be leading the creative there, I do trust that he's going to find some teams to get together and create that kind of product there where there's a demand for the tag titles. But it's just going to take time. I think that's the only issue. It's just going to take time. And you need to get
Absolutely.
eyes back on 2.0 because right now these eyes are not on 2.0.
Well, hopefully, when your eyes do get back on 2.0,
It'll be black and gold.
There we go. That would get my eyes back on it, to be honest. That tie-dye rainbow stuff.
yeah, man, I just can't get with this kaleidoscope wrestling. It just don't do it for me, man.
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon. Oh my goodness. What other crazy things have happened in pro wrestling this week that we could possibly talk about? You know what?
Look, I know
Go ahead.
something we can talk about. Let's go to commercial or whatever we do. And
Mhm.
yeah, when we get back, we are gonna talk about Logan Paul.
Oh, God.
Yes, absolutely. Stick and stay. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast.
When you see your wife, how does she make you feel?
She's peaceful. Maybe a trip to paradise.
Welcome back to the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Velvet. It's my buddy Neff. It's Georgia wrestling legend Ricky Silver in the building. And ladies and gentlemen, as part of the SummerSlam spectacular last night, there were two guys who pretty much media stars in their own way who have made their way to professional wrestling. One is very established in pro wrestling, a former, or excuse me, should I say, two-time Grand Slam winner in WWE, and his opponent, social media megastar Logan Paul, who not only signed a contract with WWE, but got a convincing victory over The Miz last night at SummerSlam. Now, Logan Paul didn't just show up, he showed out. A flying frog splash from the top rope through the announce table that did not look forced, that did not look painful that just looked natural. Logan Paul came to play, no pun intended, and he actually won. Neff, talk to me about Logan Paul, my friend.
Oh, you didn't sell it the way I wanted you to sell it. You got to sell that frog splash like that boy meant it.
That's why you got the floor. It's your
Oh,
turn. Give it to him,
look
Neff.
here. Look here. All right. Never been really a Logan Paul fan. He's entertaining. I mean, he has the followers, he has the numbers. He's a shit talker. Like, I appreciate a good asshole. No pun. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate a shit talker and yeah, all that together. But Logan Paul to me in the WWE has been a combination of a person that you will really start liking. Like he gave me a short sweet chin music. Nobody really caught that, but that was a short leg sweet chin music that was epic. A Huna Karana that was epic. The frog splash alone, I mean, come on. First of all, he took whatever off the turnbuckle and he threw it at Miz's wife. Classic. And then he frog splashed on him. He didn't give me the shimmy on it. He didn't give me the Eddie, but he gave me a frog splash. And what it put me in the mindset of is just Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon is notorious for coming off the top rope onto a table. That's his move. I mean, he's went to the highest of heights. Logan Paul has potential. He has a lot of potential only because he's willing. He is willing to steal everybody's move and turn it into something. And it looks like he's been doing it for a minute. I think AJ Styles, he came out and, did his thing or supported him. I think he's been in training with him. I mean, he's trained with the Miz. Miz is a former champion, so let's not forget that, he beat Miz. I mean, it is Miz, but, still, entertaining purposes, Logan Paul has it. We'll see where it goes, but I'm thoroughly entertained by his matches. It's only two so far, but I'll take it.
Ricky, your opinion of Logan Paul's performance last night?
Okay, so if I have one positive thing to say about Logan Paul, that frog splash was enough to get me to pop. Like, my whole thing with Logan Paul is he's not deserving of a spot on SummerSlam. Okay, he got his contract because they wanted to get his social media guys, his 20 some odd million fans that don't watch wrestling. They wanted that influence. They don't want Logan Paul. They don't care nothing about a social media guy. They want who follows the social media guy. And that's what they've been pushing so much lately. And for the Miz, all right, I get it. He doesn't care. He doesn't mind if he wins. He doesn't mind if he loses. He's going to make everybody look great in the process. But he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Losing to a guy having his first singles match ever, a guy that's a YouTuber, that is disrespectful to the Miz, to a guy like two-time Grand Slam winner, beat John Cena at WrestleMania with The Rock's help. But it's the Miz, Hall of Famer, against a guy having his first match ever in singles. No way Logan Paul should be winning that match. I get it, it's pushing a storyline, but Miz should have choked out the win there, in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you this, Ricky. I mean, that's a pretty good take on it. So I got to get your take on these other things that have happened. We talk about Logan Paul getting the win over The Miz. How do you feel about Bad Bunny getting a victory at WrestleMania last year? Also, how do you feel about Seth freaking Rollins, who is probably just as much, maybe even more of a first ballot Hall of Famer than The Miz is, dropping the match to Johnny Knoxville? Not Seth Rollins, but Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn losing to Johnny Knoxville. How do you feel about that?
Bad Bunny, I feel the exact same way. He didn't even look that great in the ring. I mean, Logan actually looked pretty good in the ring. Like he was a natural for it. Bad Bunny looked like he was just there to promote. And that's basically what it was. He never really showed up much after that. He didn't sign a contract like Logan Paul did. So I still feel the same way with that one. As far as Johnny Knoxville, that one made a little bit more sense because they had the entire cast of Jackass on there helping him out. And it was that gimmick match which played into their hands because they were already used to something like that. And the way they were positioning Sammy wasn't as a serious competitor anyway. He was being positioned as a jokester, as somebody that's getting airplanes flown with his phone number on it, things like that. It wasn't put over as a legit match. It was put over as a sports entertainment spectacle, which is what it turned out to be. And I was as entertained with that sports entertainment Sami Zayn Jackass match as I've been entertained with pretty much any match, because it was put over as that type of match. But when you have Logan Paul against The Miz, it's put over as, oh, Logan Paul's pissed off at The Miz for jumping on him, stuff like that. It's put in as an actual fight, which Miz should have the clear advantage in. That's the only difference, really, I see with those. But yeah, Bad Bunny, I felt the exact same way as Logan Paul.
Gotcha. Our buddy Rockin' Reese is joined in, and he says Logan winning with a skull crushing finale was awesome. Opinions, guys. Yay or nay?
I agree with that.
Yeah,
he's stealing. So, yeah,
that's why I say his move set list and playlist. And just a little bit on just kind of piggyback off of Ricky for a second. Like the interest of having Logan Paul. Yeah, it was more so Logan Paul wanting to join. I think numbers wise, like I mean, there's his numbers is not topping WWE. It's kind of the same thing as if they kind of did a collaboration show with AEW. It's like, who really benefits from that? WWE doesn't benefit more from having Logan Paul versus Logan Paul being now in the WWE fan base and the WWE universe eyes as an actual competitor versus him versus Floyd Mayweather, where we know Floyd Mayweather is going to wipe the floor with him, kind of thing. So to have him as a gimmick, to have him as added kind of bonus, where now, like I said, we're in the big boy league now. So to have a move set the way that he does, where he could just take anybody's moves and just put it all into his match. I think it's a great push. We'll see where they go with it. Me personally, and I'm gonna say it, fuck it, because that's just what I do. I would love to see Logan Paul versus Conspiracy Theory at Clash for the Money in the Bank suitcase. How about we do that?
I mean, it would give Theory a win, I guess.
I'm gonna tell you something. I like Logan Paul with his athleticism that lends credibility to his ability to do moves. I just think that because I'm gonna be real with you. Logan Paul is a guy. His everything I saw from him last night was snug. It was really snug. Everything I saw him do last night was really snug. That kind of makes me want to see him have the William Regal match that Goldberg had, but in reverse. I would like to see him in there with somebody that's going to knock the shit out of him, because his fights, even his boxing matches, he's selective with who he fights. He's fighting guys that are smaller than him, guys who don't have a whole lot of experience. And I don't know if that's him or his brother. I can't keep either one of them apart. But because they have the freedom to do what they do, they can be very selective about who they choose to fight. With Logan, now that he's under WWE contract, I would love to see him get in the ring with somebody that's going to knock the shit out of him and him outright refuse. Who?
Give him Shinsuke. He's got nothing going on right now.
I could see Shinsuke. I could see him fighting Shinsuke, but I want to see him. Honestly, I wish Braun Strowman was still in WWE. I really do, for that reason alone. Because I could see Braun, even though Braun, got punched in the face by Brock when he gave him that errant knee. I think if Braun really wanted to unload on somebody, I think he could. And I think Logan Paul is more than deserving of that. I don't have anything against him. I just want to see if he can take it as well as he can give it.
That'll be a big thing.
Yeah.
I would think somebody like Sheamus, but he's on the wrong brand anyway, so I don't think that would work out.
Oh man.
Just give him those clubs on the chest a couple times.
I think I want him to fight somebody who won't sell for him. I put it like I want somebody who's gonna wait forever. If they give him an 18-minute match, I want him to fight somebody who ain't gonna sell for him until the 15th minute.
Give him Goldberg. He can
Goldberg's
be
another.
William Regal, and Goldberg will be Goldberg.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Goldberg has Goldberg's potential to just fuck somebody's life up has not expired.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think it has expired. So yeah, Goldberg might actually work. I know a lot of really cool Rickies. One of them is on the show, obviously, Ricky Silver. But switching gears to AEW, Ricky Starks lost his FTW championship this week to Taz's son Hook. As a result of that, after the match, he cut a really, really awesome promo that has the wrestling world talking. And in the middle of that promo, he got the crab clothesline at him by Powerhouse Hobbs. Now everybody's penciling Ricky in to be a fan favorite. So, what do you guys think of face Ricky Starks?
Honestly, I think he's better as a heel, but at the same time, we haven't seen him as this face. He got a really good reaction from that, and has gotten people talking from that. So we really need to see where it's going to go. But his natural cockiness seems like he would be a heel for life. Like Miz being a baby, that didn't really work that well because he has that natural cockiness. Roman being a baby, it didn't work that well because he has that natural cockiness. So it's just a matter of how he's going to turn with it. We haven't really seen it yet. I didn't keep up with him on any indies, so I don't know what's going to happen. I just got to wait and see.
Neff?
Yeah, I must have missed that. I'm going to leave that with y'all right there. I'm out the loop on that one. Forgive me. I had,
I had to watch replays.
Oh, man. Ooh. That's an upset, Ricky. That's why we got to bring you in more often because we pull no punches. If we watched it, we watched it. If we haven't, we haven't, and we're not going to sugarcoat anything. That's pretty much how we do. But we're getting close to finishing time, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say it has been an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to have my good friend, Georgia wrestling legend, the extreme innovator himself, Ricky Silver, on the show with us. Definitely got to bring you back on here. Ricky, if you don't mind, please let everybody know where they can follow you on social media.
We got Facebook. It's going to be facebook.com/the Ricky Silver. Most people probably won't want to follow on Twitter because it's very political, so I'll just leave that one out.
All right. Neff, tell everybody where they can follow you on social media, my friend.
You know me on Facebook, Jesse, I am Neff Miller, and then Instagram is that thing right there. We never get this right. Wherever that is, that part. Yeah, that part. Wherever. Follow that.
Awesome. And you can follow me Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, Velvet478. And you can also find the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and on Twitter at PVPW Podcast. All right. PVPW Podcast. Let's see. I mentioned my buddy and he shows up. Mitten is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Just before we sign off, Mitten has a question. And here's his question. Was it a letdown that Dominic hasn't turned heel yet?
I got something on that.
Before you got
it.
I just want to answer.
Yeah, because I definitely meant to go over that earlier.
To be honest, I don't give a shit, to be real with you. To be honest with you, I really don't. Neff, what you got?
Here's what I want. Here's what I want for legacy purposes. Rey Mysterio is probably by far my top 5, only because my introduction to wrestling was Rey Mysterio. Like I fell in love with wrestling just seeing this small ass guy against huge people. What I would love to see as a legacy, because I remember, Rey getting a Leah tattoo of his daughter and Dominic, and just seeing Dominic at a young age. I want Rey Mysterio to transition into his next phase of his life, giving a mask to Dominic and walking away.
He has to
I
have a
don't care
mask.
about nothing else. There's no point. There's no rhyme or reason for them to make him turn on his father and all that stuff. We played those angles of, all this other stuff. I don't want to see that. I want to see his legacy end, handing a mask to his son, whether it's pulling one off of him and he has another mask under it. I don't care how they do it. Writers, if you're listening, y'all already took my Who's Your Daddy, so I need y'all to do this for me. Let Rey Mysterio pass a mask to his son and ride off into the sunset. That's all I want.
And I agree with both of you. I don't really care about that right now because they haven't really given us a reason to care. And Dominic does not look imposing at all. I mean, whether he needs to shave his head or put on that mask, he needs to change something because right now he just looks like a kid in there getting beat up all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you guys for joining me. As always, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast. Be sure to join us right here, no matter whether you're watching us on Facebook or on www.planetvelvet.net or on Twitter. Please be sure to check us out right here every Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ricky Silver, infinite thanks, my friend. Definitely got to bring back the Paul Heyman guy.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Oh, my buddy Phenom.com says Dominic is too bubblegum. No true words have been spoken. Yeah, he's
100.
he's juicy fruit. For real. He might even be fruity stripes. I don't know.
He's got the zebra coat.
Exactly. All right, man. We got to get out of here. Everybody, please be sure to go to www.planetvelvet.net. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you guys here next week for more of the Planet Velvet Pro Wrestling Podcast. For Ricky Silver, for N.E.F, I am Velvet. See you guys soon.